Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Andrew Davis. This is Conversations in Pop Culture, and yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley. And I do want to remind everybody that there are no sponsors this month because I didn't decide to take a few sponsors for a few months, so I have to focus on some personal content. But if you'd like to support the show, you can go and check me out on all my social media down below, as well as go check out my eBay store where I got a lot of cool content. And I will remind everybody at the end of this whole thing. But in the meanwhile, I do want to just quickly say, hey, this is my eBay store, everybody. So go buy it. Look for comic collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. But enough about that because I have with me Raudric Curtis from Royal House. So welcome back, man.
Hey, thanks for having me back. It's always a good time to get on the show. Never know where the conversation is going to go, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting. That's 100%.
Well, that's our show, everybody. That's our show. We're all good. It's the 1 minute show tonight. No. Yeah, no. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but obviously, I kind of want to catch everybody up on what is Royal House because I think that's
Yeah.
the best place to start because there's people who know Royal House, there's people who have no idea, and you were obviously on my show before, but it's been a minute, and so some people might have forgotten. So, what is the quick, 2-3 minute elevator pitch of what Royal House Comics is and what you do and all that stuff before we get into what you got coming out?
Man, thanks. Royal House Comics is a consortium of artists and writers and producers that have an international span. We are a posse of dope Black comic and content creators, and we are entities of our own, but we kind of employ this Wu-Tang model where everybody just brings like I would say now, the pinnacle, even though we definitely came from humble roots, but we produce very high quality comics, um, yeah, scripts and manuscripts. We are publishing our first novel that has a tie-in with the comic that we've been running, and from animation to podcasts that are geared around comics and writing and just the media culture. Like uh, I'm telling you, man, we are really pretty much like an up and coming indie company that's going to bring some hot, new, interesting art and IP across the board.
Cool. So obviously you got a Kickstarter that's sort of dropping, I think in a few days or a week or so.
Yeah,
And I believe it is Priest vs. Pharaoh. Was it
man,
Pharaoh?
that was the first book that we talked about 4 years ago. Pharaoh versus Priest.
I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. It's two P's. I didn't know which one it was. I'm going a little noteless here,
I'm
everybody.
trying to get the PvP thing going where it's easy for me,
It was an
Pharaoh
honest
versus
mistake. It
Priest.
was an honest mistake. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
be the first to admit that. Like, no pun intended, no disrespect, but continue, please.
Well, the double entendre like I just want to be synonymous with Pharaoh. I want to be the premier Egyptian comic book,
I
and
knew it was one of
Pharaoh.
them.
I
I
just
knew
want
it
to
was
own
one of
that.
them. I just didn't know the order. I'm sorry.
Man, no, it's all good. Like I said, it's it's a way for people that are listening for me to like let them know. So the title and like the concept is based in Egyptian mythology, history. Uh, in my education and getting my long time ago, like in my early 20s, right when I'm a young art student. I'm trying to write this Egypt, this story about Egypt and like
So let's actually talk about this because obviously Egyptian history, for lack of a better word here, because it's tricky to know what actually happened, what didn't happen. We're still trying to figure it out. Some people think that the aliens built the pyramids.
mhm,
It's a
yeah.
very complicated entity. So there's positions where the Jews were never in Egypt either. There's all sorts of crazy stuff in
Well,
this.
I would say like that was always the fun of it. Like from I understood that, and the book is really playing fast and loose with ideas and histories, understanding like the lunacy of thinking we know what happened, through whatever research tools we got after the Dark Ages. So, I'd say we're pretty much still in catch up. You know what I mean? So, it was always cool to like just take it wherever I wanted to go with it.
Because it's really interesting when you start diving into Egypt, you start understanding it, and you're dealing with. I mean, King Tut is in there. You got Cleopatra stuff in there. You got a bunch of interesting things, and it's because Egypt's technically in Africa, but it's also the Middle East in
Hmm.
certain ways. So you also can play fast and loose in that area. And so, what is
So,
this like?
especially with the era that we talk about, so we're talking the 19th dynasty. We're talking Akhenaten, Nefertiti in quotes because
What
her
years were those? Because I actually don't know the years on the actual like time frame in the world on that.
we're I don't have the exact AD, you know I'm sorry,
Roughly,
BC. Yeah,
because
we're
again,
talking we're talking 2000 BC. 2000 BC. The
you
fault we're
understand
talking.
why I'm asking, right? Because I don't know what the 19th dynasty looks
Yeah.
like, right?
So
I'm trying to give
notable
people in my
notable
audience.
figures. Let's go
Yeah,
notable figures, and the most notable figure is King Tut. He was he was pretty much the last of the bloodline and became a political succession after that. Right. So you got Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Nefertiti is one of the most famous Egyptian figures and iconography that you can think of. And they found out her bust was a fake. It was a European forgery. The image that we come to know, it was a forgery. So like these symbols that we have, but the history shows she was a real person, right? So you never find her actual mummy. You're not able to really recreate that image, but somebody did and said this was her and this was her likeness. So that you got this importance of art, and like that completely shapes our whole understanding of Egypt, is that image, which was a forgery. But the real person existed and was powerful and was said in text to be the most beautiful person ever. I call her Nefertune in my book. It's the same person. It's more authentic to a oral tradition than like we were talking about. I think before we got on, which was like, um, these ideas change once we find new information. So what was known now becomes upended by.
let's talk a little bit about that too, because obviously what happens sometimes in writing comics, novels, you have history, but then you also have poetic license. You also have story license because sometimes, you could take something that's historical fiction, or you could take something that's history and you put it into historical fiction, and then it becomes more understandable. And so
Uh-huh.
I think
Yeah.
that's what, like, because it's great to stay politically and true and blue to the very end, right? In anything. But sometimes to get a point across, you gotta bend stuff. I forget, I'm trying to think of it. Maybe I'm trying to think of the book, but it was definitely dealing with Reconstruction and the Civil
Mhm.
War. It might be
Mhm.
Confederates in the Attic. I think that's the book where it's got a lot of historical value in that book, but it's a historical fiction book, and it
Mhm.
gives you real perspective on the Civil War from both the Confederate side and the Northern side. And it's so interesting because if you took that in history, it'd be a boring as fuck book.
Well, yeah, as people accept what is true for the time, right? Things that were true for a time, in the 90s, the last decade, were true at that time, and now like we think of it as backwards. So we're always gonna think that new information tends to be like validated because it's new,
Yeah.
and progress tends to be like kind of given this like I'll accept it because it's taking me to a new place, not really weighing if it's
No,
if
no, no.
it's
So I guess what I'm asking is that obviously you're going to be taking some poetic license with this book, but you're also taking and really introducing this whole Egyptian, new perspective to some degree in what is
Mhm.
going on in this story. And even
Yeah.
if you take a fantasy element to it, you're kind of going, deep into Egyptian,
You're absolutely right, and you're to
I'm trying not to be
craft the
offensive. I'm not trying
answer.
to say like folklore, right? Because it's not
Yeah, it's
folklore.
it's definitely more rooted in allegory from a writing perspective. Where these things that are going on are representations of that history we're talking about, and really poking at traditional, but also taking, sometimes on the other end to be completely counterculture and to challenge the status quo. Like I was saying, sometimes it's new, but it's not necessarily right. So, when you're talking about this interplay of all these different cultures meeting in Egypt, and who's going to claim identity to these great constructs, the pyramids, these obelisks, this knowledge. Well, everybody, it was taken over by Alexander. It was created by, a generation 5,000 years prior to whatever, whatever started around 2000 BC. Like, we go further back in Egypt than we do go forward from Egypt. You understand that? So we've only been around, 20, what is 2024, right? And you're talking about a civilization that goes back 5, 10, some of the estimates to be even further back than that. When you talk about the underground structures and the knowledge that, so that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes these new ideas, they yes, they push us forward, but there's always going to be a pullback to authenticity and realness, I think. And sometimes people will. So how many times in media has something been so popular and then just been an absolute joke? Tell me I'm not lying.
That is true, but there's also been things that have been completely treated as a farce that have also been very true as well. So it can go the other way too.
Yeah, I think you make my point, right? Which is how much patience is there for critical thinking still, and good art and good stories, and something that's actually new because it was real and not just because it was, you know, you know, thought of with a bunch of people at a table from a purely marketing standpoint, right?
So
That's where we're trying to live. That's where Royal House is trying to live. That's going to be our name.
let's get really into it though, because obviously you got the story, and this has been well developed and been simmering, to put it nicely, because I like
Mhm.
giving visuals, and I don't want to say it's boiled over yet. It's been simmering on the stove, and
Well,
yeah, because I think the last time we spoke, you were doing stuff with it, and then now you're finally bringing it to Kickstarter. And so, what is that like? Because this was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe four. I've
yeah,
lost track, but obviously, there's other stuff going on. Life happens. Sometimes a project just gets pushed to the side because you had Dombe, which was doing well and was good. And sometimes you got to go with the hot hand playing the game,
yeah,
to
yeah,
determine baseball, where if you got like the pony that's taking off like a rocket, you say, well, I guess we're going with this one right now until
yeah.
this thing cools down. So what
Well,
is this like
I
though?
can definitely. It was definitely a story, man. Like, these last 4 years and creating comics has been an absolute. I wouldn't even call it like a marathon. What they call like those cross country, where like you got to bring your backpack, like you got to bring the ski slopes. You know what I mean?
you're,
Rappel,
cross,
climb.
you're cross countrying it, right?
Yeah, cross country, dude. We're pioneering, really. Because
But we're going to talk about that too, because let's actually talk about that actually as well. Because what is this like? Because Dave Ramsey talks about the stages of business where you're on the treadmill, and then you're going to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then like you're finally like managing, right? So like,
yeah,
because 4 years starting out is like nothing. I mean, it took me 10 years to get to where I'm at right now
yeah,
on this show, and it took me another. I mean, I've been eBaying since I was 16. I'm 31. It took me 15 years to get where I'm at right now, and I'm just getting good. I legitimately got to the next stage off the treadmill.
yeah.
So like, I'm sympathetic to that on a business level, but like, what is that like? Because
Well,
it's
for
right.
us, it was deliberate. So I think we were talking about the systems and the foundations that need to be in place to be successful in comics. And I didn't take that entry lightly. Like I said, I packed my pack. I brought my ski slopes. I understood this was a 4-year journey and not a 4-month journey. I was very patient and consistent. We meet every 2 weeks. Me and my team, our team, we meet every 2 weeks internationally on Zoom. We don't, you know what I mean? We've been business planning and collaborating and improving as a shop, you know, problem solving as individual businesses, supporting each other. And we understood that first we need to create a market for ourselves, right? We're putting out art. We're creating relationships with podcasts. We're getting in the market, really like appreciating others. We talked about this to really be in the market you want to sell in, right? We're really taking in the artistry of others as we're, coming up with really good ideas together, right? So Dombe was hot. Fair versus Priest was my personal project. I have a whole novel that's, people have access to the first arc release of that novel that we're now 2 issues into the comic. So you can put the visuals with the backstory that you just can't get into with the comic. That's new. That's not something a lot of people are doing. Most people have an issue. If you can get the whole story and the comic will still bring it to light. We'll bring it off the pages visually because we have just.
So look, you mentioned something, and not to stop you, but I think it's an important point to talk about is that, obviously you have to be in the market that you want to sell to, or I mean, there's a lot of ways how to do it. So I take a different approach in my business where I'm just selling, cards and comics that are hot that tend to sell themselves really efficiently. But I also understand that at some point I'm going to have to go on, sports shows and talk about all this stuff.
Yeah.
If I really want to expand my business, I should go on a bunch of people's podcasts related to sports cards and flipping cards and in alternative investing, stuff like that, because that's how you sell, right? It's a hot audience. But so what is that even like to introduce yourself? Because I think this is the problem right now.
Well, you bring up it's the problem in comics, but it's the problem in business. And that from our original conversation, we said comics has to model business at some level to be good at it. In order to keep creating great stuff, you got to be good at business. So, not wasting money, having the right timing for expansion, what you're talking about, scaling into sports. If you can't really get into the market, that's what we're talking about. Can we run a Kickstarter without a market? Can we, sell things as people don't know us just because the art is good? No, I don't think so. So we decided to create and then sell, and then, create and then market and then sell.
Because that's interesting, right? Because I have a problem with people on Kickstarter when you got 4 pages or 6 pages and you don't have a real commitment to your product. Because I am willing to die in which I lay out the capital on my eBay business first and foremost, and then I sell. So I don't just sell a product and don't have the product. Now, I might not have the product yet in my store, but I have a PO for it. Which is the same thing because a purchase order is a contract. Whether a company honors that or not is a different discussion completely. This is what lawyers are for, everybody. But the point is that I put capital first because and this is my problem with Kickstarter right now, is I feel a lot of people don't put capital first. I don't think people really put saying I got 24 pages done here. I think people say, I think I have 24 pages done, but I want a book. I mean, I would love somebody to say, I printed 400 copies of my book and I am ready to ship this out. And I wish this campaign, if day 1, I want to get your book out day 2. Because I think that's part of the problem right now in Kickstarter is that people, because I'm waiting on books from 2 years ago. People have said, and I don't want to mention names, but somebody said I'm ahead by 3 months and they were late by 9, which means they were late by a year.
Yeah. Well, we've spent the last 4 years creating. So I would say, we are 98%, we're issue 2 of Fair versus Priest is about 90% complete. that has been on hold because the artist for that is in a Ukrainian war zone. And it's like I was telling you earlier, it's really hard to tell even what's going on without talking about what's really going on in the world. And
I
my
think he gets a
artist,
pass. It's she or he gets a pass. It's like
yeah,
I'm gonna be late on the art.
right.
Rodric. I had to kill 3 people today. I hope you understand.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciated our relationship, our our meeting, and the way we connected as an artist and a writer, and how he produced issue one. That I was gonna wait. I was willing to almost like just. I wasn't even thinking about recasting. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't thinking about like I'm gonna let somebody else like run with this. I was okay just like waiting it out and praying. Like that's how like, and then as he got some capacity and a little more safety, like I reached out to him. I was like, man, like I really have always believed in this project, and he was like, man, I believe in it, and we've just like really like pushed together, like what I mean, like from a financial, like almost like readjusting, like we both believe in this, let's push it forward. I think we can get that Kickstarter recouped. So I added all our other content. You can get Pharaoh versus Priest 2, 1,
Oh,
Dante, Detective Rumble, everything, Black, Band of the Black Fist, everything that we had was hot is now available for print in the first time. It was always available digitally, but now you can get your first hands-on copies of these.
let's talk about this because obviously coming into Kickstarter and we're speaking off air about this, and I think I mean my opinion is I don't think honest conversations are occurring in comics around Kickstarters right now. I
Mhm.
don't, which I'm sure we're gonna get into, and I'll say it. I don't know if you can say it, but I'll say it. Because I don't have to. I'm never gonna run another Kickstarter. I'm not gonna do it.
Mhm.
It was bad when I did it. It was bad. Um, People weren't ready for it, and people aren't ready for what I wanted to do, which is fine. You're all wrong. I'm right. We'll see in 10 years. Pay to play is here. It's here, and I could prove it. When you buy a table at a con, you are paying to play by,
Yeah.
by, by definition. And so if you give me shit for that, I'm sorry. You're a hypocrite. And I will tell everybody they are a hypocrite if
Yeah.
you gave me shit for my Kickstarter that I ran, with all due
Mhm.
respect, because it's honest, But enough about that. But what is this like to come to Kickstarter? Because
Well,
Kickstarter,
for us, like it was always about, like you said, capital first. We put content first. So you can go on any of our pages, our Instagram, and see like actually like every single thing that they produce is absolute fire. Everything we post, all of our art, any book that you've read from us has been absolute like damn, like that was some new Detective Rumble where you got
so
this Afrofuturism like gangs with like tech powers to like Dambe, which is like this historical traditional African art that we've turned into like you know Teen Wolf meets like blood sport, and Pharaoh versus Priest, like which is like the fall of the Iron Age. um I'm sorry, like the fall, yeah, like this transition from iron, ages, iron to bronze, bronze, and complete dynasties falling, and what comes in between that. Like everything that we bring up always catches. So we thought we'd build a buzz, we create the content, and if you like it, you can purchase it. You're literally just purchasing it now, where you're not like necessarily funding
you
it.
know I asked this, right? Because the
Hmm.
reason why I'm asking this, and I think it's important that when people listen to this and are seeing it, is that right now, I think Kickstarter is a mess. I think
Hmm.
people have become disenfranchised. At least I become disenfranchised. I shouldn't say for other people, but I can't be the only one. And I
Hmm.
feel a lot of people are late. I feel that to some degree it's a money grab, and I
Hmm.
feel that it's a crapshoot. And it's nothing against you, but I've bought books that are amazing. I bought books that are average. I bought books that were great. I bought books that were bad, and I bought books that are worth less than the pay. They are worth less. So burning them would cost me more than what they're worth.
Hmm.
But like I'm spending a boatload of money on this, and so I pulled back. And I think it's a real issue right now.
Well, I think it goes back to that was happening 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and 1 year ago on Kickstarter. As far as like whether
What's the word?
people are,
What's the word? I'll just say the word. There's no gatekeeping on Kickstarter.
yeah,
And this sounds horrible. It sounds horrible. I know it's going to be taken the wrong way, but I'm going to say it anyway. Gatekeeping is good in many ways because what it does is that it prevents a crappy product from getting
mhm,
out there into the complete free world, and it actually protects the consumer. And
yeah.
on Kickstarter, there's no consumer protection. There's
Mhm.
none. And
Well,
and
I think in our conversation we have always been okay sticking with both sides of a coin just long enough to likely see a little bit of value in the risk and the reward. Like you said, you be more cautious with what you support, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people being cautious of what we're selling, because everybody that's going to buy under it has some connection to our market. Like if you're coming across my ad, or something we're posting, I probably had a very meaningful interaction with you via social media or podcast or familiar, in real life. You know what I mean? So that was always been, like I said, focused on authenticity, focused on great content. I think, if you support us, like you're like, dang, like I actually supported something that has some real backing and staying in power. They're coming out with more books, more content. They're a strong shop. They're putting money into marketing now, and not just we got a bunch of content. Now we're actually getting our message out there and putting money behind ads. So um, we're the real deal. And I'm hoping, like, just I do my own podcast. I'm on shows, like we could talk about that with just podcasts in general. Like I'm a real authentic business owner, that and producer that really values the craft. And that's why I love doing shows like this, so people can picking, they can understand that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, actually, I can hear him talking. I can go see his social media and see, actually, yeah, the art is great. The ideas look good. And look at the tiers. Actually get a book for what I'm buying and not funding. We're pushing, we're trying to make some money and really like finish, my paying the artists really is is what we're trying to fund. You know what I mean?
that's
We're
the issue doing comics. That's a big issue right now in comics.
right,
It's not
so
spoken.
like I said, you had an artist, so I'm establishing a business relationship with artists that lasts over 4 years. My artists on my team, we've been in a business dynamic for 4 years. Like, trust, being able to just keep consistency. These are things that, like, are not novel. These are things that are foundational for us.
It's interesting, right? Because I don't know in which nobody wants to do business with somebody who's screwing their employees. Nobody wants to do business with somebody who's not paying their employees. Nobody wants to do business. At my job, I'm treated decently. Obviously, it's a job. I work a 40-hour work week, but I'm not treated horrible by my boss. I'm not treated horrible by the owners. And you go on my company, I'm not going to name my company. I work in education in New York. There's a few companies people could take a guess if they wanted to. But there's horrible reviews, and I'm like, I have never been treated this badly at my job. And
Mhm.
so I want to continue to work there because I'm treated well and I'm taken care of, for lack of a better word. And it's not a family business. They had over 500 employees, but it's somewhat like that. So the point
Mhm.
I'm making is, though, is that you need to develop relationships. And I think that that's lacking. And I don't think it's a common problem. I think it's a world problem right now. I
Yeah.
think COVID has jacked up people's relationships and their components and their understandings with one another and people. And I
Yeah.
think at the beginning of COVID, and this is just how I feel, everybody was like, kumbaya, I want to be everybody's friend, I want to be supportive. And I feel there's been a lack of that now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like I said, we can kind of branch out of comics. I do more than comics. I've written a self-help book, And shameless plug, but it just lets your audience know a little bit more about me. And like I said, like I don't necessarily, you know, comics is a passion of mine, but like um I'm trying to get great ideas out there that are like in my imagination. Like I go watch Star Wars. That was Lucas's just like some crazy imagining. You know what I mean? I have great ideas and stories that I think if I was able to get out there, people would create games about. We had a game. I had a mobile game. Talk about what took me so long, to get back to Pharaoh versus Priest. We created a mobile game that went up, and subsequently I couldn't keep it, up, but like we had a whole mobile game. That was I had a mobile game that mirrored Street Fighter with my own characters from a concept that people actually played on the mobile store. Like, I did that. It was my first run. We're gonna get more successful at it. We did a motion comic, Pharaoh versus Priest. You can watch that. We're gonna take it down because it's a tier, because it's valuable. But you can watch it as a motion comic on your
Yeah, so
TV.
let's talk about that. Let's talk about actually understanding IP and value.
Mhm.
So I understand, and I have no problem stating this, is that I don't want to consult on anything. And if somebody wants me to consult on podcasting, somebody wants me to consult on, eBay businesses, my rate is really high. And if you need to ask, then you can't afford me, is where I'm going with this. And it's not an ego thing, it's I don't want to do but, you know, I think it's really interesting when you start going into, building and understanding what is valuable. So you built a mobile app, right? And you had it running for a while, and now you had a motion comic, and so it was free, and then now it's not. So what is that like? Because when you create IP, you're creating value
Yeah.
and
So
understanding.
I got this from Russell Simmons' book, where he talked about there not being a market for rap. There weren't radio stations that he can take the new Run DMC tape to, or some other artists that he wanted to like promote to the local radio station and get it played. He had to literally give the product away. He had to give it to people to consume and to create a market for hip hop, to create an industry for hip hop. And that has always been like the amount of work I'm willing to put in. And like you said, where does capital go? It was always an investment in Royal House. Let me go ahead and pay these artists to create some fantastic poster art for us. Let me go ahead and commit to this young and up and coming artist, and we're going to treat him well and build up together. He's going to be, partner in this. And a lot of producers aren't doing that. They want to pay an artist, as low as possible, and get some profit and think you can go back to them, or like they're just waiting for your work.
So I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that.
Hmm.
I don't disagree necessarily fully with you, but I also think that artists to some degree want to try to get as much money as possible from
Hmm.
somebody and do as little as possible. And because they want to have those big contracts at companies that carry prestige. And so I'll be honest, if I go buck a cover and an artist is giving me attitude, I'm just not going to tolerate it because my response is I'm paying your rent, your mortgage, or your grocery bills this week. So, I don't think it's just solely just on, a comic creator, a writer, or producer.
Yes.
I think there's a game going on between cat and mouse where person A, the writer, wants to pay as little as possible, and the artist wants to make as much as possible, or they need to pay their rent or their mortgage, and
Hmm.
that prestigious thing, and we'll just use Zenoscope as a name,
Yeah.
is not hitting them up yet, or they've given them two covers last month and they haven't given them one yet, and they still need to make their rent. And so that's why I think they're trying to do it as fast as possible. So I think it's a game. I don't think people are being honest in the game, to be honest.
No, no, and that was I didn't really talk about if you watched our first show 4 years ago, I really talked about how Royal House came together and how I had noticed all those issues that you just pointed out, along with how people approach Kickstarters before I even stepped foot into like into the game, I created a plan, a business plan based on research. So, how building a market before you run a Kickstarter, um, um, building long-term relationships. I didn't learn that in comics. I learned that through leadership and coaching and my executive positions, where I'm, the last, I'm making the decisions, but they have to be informed by people that know the job. You know what I mean? So like this ability to listen and to take expertise from somebody that actually is doing the work. That's how I learned how to get into comics. I have great ideas. I started off as an artist. I'm an artist, an illustrator by trade. I learned how to write. I learned the craft of writing. So um, I didn't want. I wrote Fur versus Priest. I got with Bodan, Ukrainian artists. We started producing. I realized like I don't want to just. I can't be successful just selling, a book as a writer and a comic artist. I have to be a business owner. My business has to be in comics. We have to be making all these artists can't just be waiting on Pharaoh versus Priest. I got to get them on other projects. We got to grow. And that's what we did, man. We just got a ton of books coming out. We just have gotten so good because we created so much. And you have access to the first wave of that, the foundational blocks with this Kickstarter as we're about to go like on overdrive, man.
Love the optimism. I'm sorry.
I live it because like I said, we're up on Amazon. You can get some of our stuff. We're really like holding for the Kickstarter because we know we can get into get our own. We have our own website, but like I said, we're really funneling to the Kickstarter right now.
So the reason why I say it the way I say it and say like the optimism is that I'm a very pessimistic person. So I am very pessimistic. I purposely underestimate my growth and my positions, because it's just and I make very conservative arguments. So if I'm doing 50,000 in sales, that's a lot. Now I think I'll do more than that, but conservatively, that's where it's estimated at. If all of a sudden I do 110,000, it looks better because I could be like, oh my God, I doubled my projections. Holy shit, I'm really good, right? So on a marketing level, it's that, but it's also the idea that I base things off of really conservative numbers because I don't know what the market's going to do.
But you also, we talked about this, you also understand the value of business and time. And what is the
absolutely
standard loss amount of years that you're reasonably taking a loss? Standard. Just from like a standard without even like you can even give or take. Give me a give or take.
What is it? 3 years, and then you got to take it behind the barn and shoot it.
Right. About 3 years, right?
3 to 5. If you're in tech, it could be 6.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a tech startup, you could have 6 or you could even have 10 years, depending on what type of tech startup you're doing. But 3 years is typically an idea if it's profitable.
So think about this in publishing. You create a book, some great content, and it has everything but the marketing behind it. Right? Everybody that sees it loves it. You just can't get it in front of people. Right? You have it sitting there and you never get the commitment to actually put money behind it, so you just let it linger. There's a lot of people and a lot of like indie shops, indie bands, indie upstarts in tech, that just didn't have that extra business savvy to get their idea out there.
I agree. It's not even so much money. It's even just getting it in front. I mean, look, people ask me all the time to be on this show. And, I look at everybody's idea, but, there was somebody who had just a book and I'm just like, I don't really like your book. and it makes me sound like an asshole, but, maybe you got to figure out how to pitch your book to me, right? Like it came off that the person was pitching me their book and they shot me the same message on my personal Facebook, on my Facebook wall, on my page wall, and on my Instagram. Which tells me the exact thing that they don't realize that those 4 things are the same and they have the same name. So they're just shooting Like legitimately, like you're hitting me up 4 times, and it
Mhm.
also just came off like scammy. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody says to me, if you pitch me saying, "Hey, I got this great book. I love your show. I just saw your interview with so and so. Really big fan of Brian Donovan. I love Rock Lee and Naruto. And then I got this book coming out. And I could really use some help. Do you have any spots on your show in September?" You're
Mhm.
probably going to get a better response from me.
Mhm.
Now, if you use that right now, everybody who's watching, pick a different interview. Because I'm gonna know if you just took what I just said, word for word, I'm gonna deny you heavily. But that's business savvy, right? So when I reach out to somebody for an interview, I purposely research and say, "Oh man, I love your Starfire cosplay, and I love this other cosplay that's legitimately 100 posts down on their Instagram," because it means that I actually looked at your fucking Instagram as a cosplayer, which means something. I didn't just go to 2 things and great. Put some effort into it,
Mhm.
because you can get so much media for free.
Yeah. Yeah, you can like we talk about it, if you're in the market, you can get free media. And everybody I'm asking to support because they've actually know me, or I'm good enough to if you go to any of our social media, if you go several clicks down the road and really see what I'm about, you don't come up to this like a scammer you see, because all their pictures are, you ever go to like dude, like you're not real. Like, I can tell you're not real, even though, from one layer next. Like, you go to me, you're going to see I'm on a podcast. I have my own championship culture podcast. I'm on the artist panel podcast. I write regular books. I write comics. I'm doing things that I really hope change people's life. And I'm optimistic because I've had success doing that. Like, I'm one of those people that you're not going to stop me. Like, I'm going to create a game, and don't let me get another shot at making a game. I guarantee I've learned a lot in that first try, where that next game is going to be like, it's going to go off. Like, if I did a Kickstarter for the Dombe game, like, I'm telling you, like, that would go off because I've learned so much. So, like, we're the Wu-Tang Clan, and I'm RZA. Like, I got to keep it together. People have they got their own like artistry. So yeah, my artists, I help them with the business side. You know what I mean? That's my expertise. So like, they're not out there lingering. Like, they're artists with me. You're gonna make money with Royal House, and you're gonna make money because of Royal House. All of our artists and writers got more pub now than we did 4 years ago alone, because we did it together. If you say like, I'm a Royal House Comics artist, like, you got a team behind you. Even though like people go off on their own and reach even higher pinnacles, like Leia has a whole like webtoon in Belgium that she's creating the platform for. So like, Sakansi is like literally one of the hardest artists in all of Lesotho, South Africa. Like, these people are staples internationally, like in their own respective, but they have access to Hollywood with me. They have access to what's happening in LA Comic Con, you know what I mean? San Diego Comic Con, as we want to go there, in the next year or so. So it's just a fantastic, like I said, it was a backpack journey. It's been fun. We were prepared. We're ready for this next stage. We're okay with the criticism because we can pass it. We can get through the criticism of like, all right, let me see what they're about. Cause like, we're really doing it. You know what I mean? We really got the content already made. You can go buy Detective Rumble right
So,
now on
so
Amazon.
I'm going to be challenging though, because this is the issue that I have, and it's not just you. It's that everybody's got so much fucking content. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the thing. So I don't know anymore if you just have to be good or you just have to have content. Because I know so many people who have content. Travis Gibb has content. John Westenhoff has content. I'm trying to think of else. Like, I'm trying to think of a bunch of other people. Pat Chan has a lot of content. Zenoscope has content. So like, what is this like? Because
Well,
this is
that was only stage one. Like I said, a lot of people get the content and
not even
linger.
letting me finish a question, man.
Oh, come on, no, my bad, man. Go, hit me.
I just fucking with you on a new
Yeah,
level.
No, dude, I like because we thought it out, dude. We already knew that was stage one.
But
Making the
but, but
content was
you,
only
you
stage.
understand what I'm asking, because
Mhm.
this is what I think is the real question in comics right now, and it's
Yeah.
not just comics, it's media, right? In general, is that I don't know anymore what to watch. Like
Hmm.
because I have Netflix, I have Peacock, I have Crunchyroll. Actually, that's not true. Crunchyroll, I have Anime Thursdays. I pour myself like 3 beers, and I have to watch some anime because I'm gonna go crazy if I don't take a day off. But not the point. But like these is the issues, that there's so much competition, and I like competition because I think iron sharpens iron. Right?
Hmm.
I want more podcasts because I want to be forced to get better
Yeah.
on it. But it's also tricky because even on eBay, I mean, I'm getting fucking squeezed on eBay, on some things. Because when everybody puts up a card that's selling for $16 or more, everybody makes money. But all of a sudden, when everybody puts up that card for $6, I have to match.
Hmm.
So competition is good and bad. So, like,
Yeah.
what is that like for you? Because I think you want companies like Pat Chan and Zenoscope and Travis
Oh
Gibb,
yeah.
who have a lot, because they're going to force you to get better and they're going to force the marketplace. But at the same time, you're like, these motherfuckers, they're fucking killing me. Like, at the same time, right? Like, there's something you're
Yeah,
like,
and I'm okay being niche. You know, I'm okay staying in our lane a little bit. You know, I mean, our business model has always been, you know, we can sell great content for I don't want to say cheap, but 99-cent digital comic, and you can read it. People are reading comics on their phone. You know what I mean? So if we get a nice, good viral moment, or somebody catches us that actually has some sway and can get us out to more number, we think it's a numbers game because we believe in our product. So can we put money, now that we have the content? Can we put some money behind some marketing? Can we be more strategic about
let
sales?
me ask you a business question.
Mhm.
Would you give the comic away for free for an email?
Yeah, yeah. I think
You
after
understand the question. That's not the question I
well,
asked.
that was the model for the not. This was always the first thing I did was write a novel. So the comics was always an exploration of like going one more step further in creativity and production. So I started off as a writer, writing a novel, and then I went down this rabbit hole of man, like why can't I just do this at just a fantastically grand level and be successful doing what I love to do, which is create. That's where it started. Everything else has been problem solving from there, and tenacity.
Because you understood the question, because I didn't ask the question that I asked. You understood the real question is that
Yeah, I would
customer.
give Pharaoh versus Priest away for you to support this Kickstarter as a giveaway. I would give Pharaoh versus. I'm giving uh my self-help book, the wisdom of all good books. I would give that away just for you to have access for email, and for you to have access, some committed relationship with what I'm creating, for sure.
Because an email, especially a digital comic, I understand people sell digital comics on Kickstarter, and I get why, because you're just sending out a PDF and some bonus material, and that's awesome. And somebody just wants to read it. Maybe they don't have space, or maybe they live in an international country and it sucks to
Yeah,
ship there, right?
yeah,
I get it on all of those levels. But at a certain point, you have to realize that, hey, if you have me in your email list and every Sunday you send me an update, and let's say I open that email up every Sunday, you now have access to me to send me whatever you want to send me every Sunday, which is worth more than $1
yeah,
by
yeah.
far. I don't have that capability. I can't run an email list at the moment, not because I just don't have the time. And be like, I just listed this thing on eBay, right? Like
Right.
it doesn't fly.
Well,
It
that what you're bringing up is another element of marketing that people don't really ever get to. Like when if you're just an artist and you're making comics, how much time and capacity do you have to run an email list, to go on podcasts, to put money into ads, because it actually is pay for play with the algorithms now. you're not getting viral moments unless you're paying for them a lot of the time, or at least hitting the numbers until you've actually like paid for that market.
It's
So they're
tricky.
limiting.
It's tricky. You really have to know what you're doing. My YouTube growth is very calculated. It's very calculated. I have done more this year on YouTube than I did last year. I have done double what I did on YouTube this year in 6 months than I did all of last year in both subscribers, watch hours, and viewership.
Yeah.
And how I did it is that I understood when to interview, how to interview, and who to interview, along with really building out my YouTube community page. I spend more time on YouTube community page than I do actually interviewing because YouTube promotes people who are on YouTube platform.
Yeah.
So if you use YouTube Live directly, YouTube will push you out further.
I need to start
If
doing more lives. We're doing some content on YouTube.
but it's not like through StreamYard. So they don't like the way I'm doing this. They want them to use YouTube Live Studio.
Okay.
Now, for me, with the interview, it makes no sense to do that because I want to stream to Facebook. And then what YouTube does like those, they like my community page, and they would like me to go live on YouTube separately, which I probably will do eventually as well through their studio and just do like a wrap-up show every week for 30 minutes, and YouTube will promote that out. And then to go further, what YouTube wants is that they like the community tab, and so spend a lot of time doing polls, images, other stuff, because that's what they want. And then it's understanding certain interviews do really well and certain micro content does very well, and they like that micro content.
Yeah.
When you're doing 5, 10, 15, 20 micro content videos at 3 minutes or less, YouTube likes that. So that's how I've grown on YouTube, and it's working. And there will get a point where I have 4,000 watch hours, 1,000 subscribers, and I'll have 6,000 videos that will all be monetized, which will make me $20 a month.
Yeah, I mean, we have always been like on the same page as far as like strategy, and like now as people are listening and they understand that Royal House has applied strategy, and now we're here 4 years later, running our first Kickstarter. One, because I waited on our Ukrainian brother over there, and he now has some capacity to finish issue 2, which is hot. Like, he's gotten better, you know what I mean? Like, that was his first publishing credit, with Pharaoh versus Priest Part 1. You now have access to the whole story. It's 120-page story arc, not necessarily his origin story, but like the inciting incident of his full circle, definitely. So it's tons of action like right away, and just great art. And it has that lore, like it's beautiful, like images and paintings, and like it's very poetic. It's very allegorical. Like it's something that you can take it, take it in many different ways, from a readership, which is pretty interesting because I'm not just telling you all the answers. There's definitely some Easter eggs, and might pull you into like, damn, like what does this mean? Like let me research what was happening in this time and who these people were.
No, it's interesting. So I do want to back out of all this, and we touched upon a bunch of it, but obviously, what do you think of the whole comic world?
The comic world right now?
Yeah, because the big two are interesting. IDW is interesting. The fact that Boom just sold themselves to Penguin is fascinating. Scout sold a piece of themselves to a private pink slip holding company on the stock market. Most people forget that story. Most people don't even know that.
That story came and went. That story came and went so fast.
I mean, I saw that story like a mile out. But I wish DraftKings had a bet on that. I would have made a fortune.
Yeah, man, it was.
I know it.
I feel like comics from its inception was always like a risk and a labor of love. Like an artist, artist and writer, like just coming up with like this crazy idea. And it's the type of escapism that people needed, really.
You know Stan Lee's
um,
quote? Do you know Stan Lee's quote? One of his most famous
no,
quotes.
what was it?
He said that what entertainment writers have one of the most important jobs in the world.
Yeah.
Because and what he was getting at, and I forget the whole quote, is that to write anything, television, comics, it's the most important job in the world because people live hard lives. And if you could escape from something for 20 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it's so important.
Yeah.
When Spider-Man is fighting Doc Ock, I'm not thinking about, the horrible atrocities that are going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that after my 10-minute Spider-Man read that it doesn't come back and that I'm not sympathetic, but I just escaped. I'm like, oh my God, is Peter going to get out of this thing and not drown? How's he going to do it? Right.
Yeah.
Which is the point of what you want in a comic. Or when we're dealing with King Tut in your book, it's like he's negotiating a peace treaty, and then there's something in the forest going on. Is he going to catch the traitor? Right? I mean, I'm just
Mhm.
using that as an example. I don't know if that actually occurs.
Well, yeah, I mean, like it is King Tut is always in the stories about his parents, Akhenaten and
I was using
Nefertiti.
it as an example, but
It's a
continue.
great example for me to talk about, for me to shamelessly plug my story. But it's also speaking to like what you're talking about, because it's like, what do people want in a story? Why would I buy your Kickstarter? Why would I support your comic business? Why is it worth escaping to? Like, you know what I mean? Is this worth my attention from my grueling day? Is it good enough for me to realize like shit ain't so bad? Or hey, like that's actually a great idea, like it did to me. Like it always inspires other people to like create more stories and build industries. And music has done that. Comics has done that tenfold.
I mean, I'll put it this way. So I'm gonna ask: are you a card collector, by any chance?
I don't collect cards, but I know I have very
Have you ever opened up a pack of baseball cards? Let me
yeah
ask it that way.
yeah for sure.
Have you ever so have you opened up one in the last 3 years?
No,
By any chance?
no.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna put you.
I know several people who are in the card business.
So there's nothing more exciting than opening up a card box and like a hobby box, right? And there's potentials to get autographs or parallels in there, right? And numbered cards. So you open it up and you don't know what's in there because the proper way is that they put them in backwards. So the seam at the pack is the back of the card. So you don't know what you're getting. And you go
Mm,
through it. And then the joy of pulling, oh my God, I just pulled a card that is limited to 100, right? And everything else that's going on in your world fades away for like 5 minutes because you're like, holy shit, the odds of me pulling this card is low. And that's what I view comics as and stories. And when I back people's campaigns, I'm like, is that going to have this effect?
mhm.
Because I want whatever the fuck's going on in my world and somebody's torturing me or I'm just economically stressed out or something happened or I just had a bad day, I want that euphoric feeling for 5 minutes. And I think that's what's missing in comics.
Oh, well, I that's what's missing in people's lives, and that's where they go to comics. Some people go to comics, some people go to music, some people go, to movies. But comics has always like, now we talk about where it's gone. Where is comics now? Comics is being saved by movies. Comics was saved by movies about 20, 30 years ago, as people had to figure out different ways to be sustainable as the markets and technology is changing. People aren't reading floppy books anymore. So how are you going to get somebody to read a floppy book? Collectors collect, who is this market that, that's what's happening. This market is now consuming, videos, cartoon, that we're the cartoon age. You know what I mean? Like, how much did media just change with toys, and because we were able to see it on Saturday morning? You know what I mean? So growing markets, and that started off as somebody's idea. Like, dude, we're gonna create a Transformers cartoon. These are things are iconic. I'm crazy enough to think our shit could be iconic, man. It's super optimistic. I think the only way to keep doing this is to be optimistic. I see a lot of people burning out in my 4 years. A lot of people
Oh,
have burned
we
out.
should talk about that too. I mean, how many people have you seen? So you and me are probably coming at this from a very similar angle. On a podcast level, I've
Mm,
seen people start a show, not do it, and then I've seen people then not. I've seen people then try to restart and then burn out again. And
mm-hmm,
it is so brutal. I've seen it in comics. I've seen people slow down. I've seen people stiff people. I've seen people not return. I've seen people be late. I've seen people try to do like 6 books and then get one out. I've seen
mm-hmm,
it all. And I don't really know if it's just because they had an idea, they weren't prepared. I don't know if something else happened in their lives. I don't know if people wanted instant gratification because that could also be it too. Is that no offense, but nobody gives you a cookie for filling your Kickstarter. No offense. Like in fact, you might be a grand in the hole if you really fulfill your Kickstarter the first round out. So I don't really know, but it's not good. It's not good. Burnout rates are not good. In my profession and the space I'm in, which is digital accessibility, the burnout rate is really high. I think
mm-hmm.
it's like 60% of the people in my sector get burned out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in that sector too. You know, we I started off with a comic podcast and realized that my life was a little bit more expansive than that, and I wasn't really able to bring all the parts of who I am to the comic conversation. So now I'm doing championship culture, and I'm able to bring comics and creativity into that conversation. But I've also branched out, and I'm on the artist panel where, like I said, I'm just talking about um, my own, struggle and success with writing and creativity. So I've had different iterations myself, but I think once you get good at it and you get a rhythm, like you're still gonna have those obstacles, but can you keep getting better and better where you get like this smooth up and down of a boat that kind of is able to handle the waters that it's in and not just get toppled over in a wake.
I agree. I don't disagree on what you said. I think that also you've been around doing this, so I've been podcasting for 10 years. I think at this point, if I take 6 months off, it's not because I burned out. It's because I took 6 months off.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm picking the pitches I want to swing at. Like I did, I think in the last like 2 months, I think I did like 10 interviews. And I
Yeah,
don't really care. But I'm going to kick it back up in September.
yeah,
Um, and I'm coming big, and I like to swing for the fences. But again, I'm doing better than I've ever done on social media, like YouTube. I've done
yeah,
legitly half the amount of work, and I've gotten more than double the growth.
yeah.
So like, it's mind boggling, which tells me that my audience either really likes what I'm doing, they like that micro content, or it's that whole thing that YouTube is actually promoting me
Mm-hmm.
because they like that I'm playing in their algorithm and I'm telling them where I want them to put my videos.
Yeah,
By
and YouTube's a long game too. Sometimes, man, I had a video that went viral like 8 months later. It was on Machiavelli and using Machiavelli in the office space. Uh, uh, you know, early automized like a little bit of AI, like editing and chop up AI voice. That mug is getting like 1,000 views a week now, like 8 months later. It's crazy.
I have content that gets and generates me like 30 views a week. And it doesn't look sexy. It doesn't look sexy, but again, 30 views a week times that by 10 years, it's a lot of freaking views. And I know it's consistent, but then when you get a bunch of other shit, and it's like buried like 800 videos deep into like my YouTube channel, which is nice too, which is exactly where I want it to be, right? Don't you want that shit with the Machiavellian stuff like
Yeah,
buried
yeah,
150 down? So like you can't even see it on your page anymore, right?
yeah, yeah. But like you said, man, you put in the work, and you're okay with putting quality out there, and you got to trust the market sometimes. And sometimes people just, they take advantage of them. You don't respect the market, but you're wanting to sell in the market. Man, give the people what they want, make it good, be consistent, be on time. And you know that's more about sustainability, man. We're 4 years. We probably took the long road. I'll be honest, we probably took the long road, but I think it was the right road.
Oh, I know all about that too. And also, is you got to be lucky and you got to hope that you're right,
Hmm.
because luck is a part of this. I mean, without a doubt. Yeah, and we can talk about my eBay business because I want to plug myself too. Um,
Hmm.
you know, part of what happened with me and how I grew, and I'm sure it's relevant to you as well, is I was just in the right place at the right time, and I had a little bit of money to play with at the right position that I could take a risk that just so happened to pay off, and that because it was a hot item. It was the Shikari Barbie books by Merck and by Comics Elite, and that's what kicked this whole thing off. So all of a sudden, you have a hot artist, you have limited books that sold out that were trading for a lot more money, and all of a sudden you turn $400 into 1,600, and now you could buy $1,600 worth of stuff, and then you do
Yeah,
it again and again and again. All of a sudden, you now have like 6 grand to play with.
yeah,
So you flip A into B into C into D, and you just had a wild train run, which
yeah,
which also sometimes happens. But I was just in the right place at the right time, and I had legitly $400 that I took
hmm,
a risk on. And I'm sure to some degree, there is no doubt in my mind that you were in the right place at the right time with
yeah,
Royal House, and you met the right people, right, at the
yep.
right time for whatever reason.
Met
So
the right people. We got great who. Let's start with Bodan. I met Bodan on Upwork, and I had started with a different artist on that project who just couldn't come through with the design I was looking for. So Bodan was a little bit of luck just in that. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't imagine the project with me not meeting Bodan. You know what I mean? It just wasn't meant to be. That was just like luck. But that was his first publishing credit. Fantastic unknown Ukrainian artist, and that was his first publishing credit. Um, Great, Nigerian, multi-talented artist. Uh, he was just up and coming when he met me, and he was just still learning how to take his talent and make it a business. So my first relationship with him was helping him figure out the mechanics of being a professional artist. It wasn't about like a commission, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like he was a beginner as we're designing Pharaoh versus Priest. We're both beginners. You know what I mean? But I have a little bit of business sense. I have a little bit of capital to invest in this, and I have some patience and a plan. So we can fail up together, where a lot of people don't have that time, patience, and capital to make it through one speed bump, one speed bump, and they're gone. One wave and they're gone.
it happens in which that it's not easy. It's not easy. People are fragile, and people don't have their eggs in a basket.
Yeah. And I have the conversation with my wife. You're on another meeting. Yeah, I'm meeting every other Sunday. Oh, where's that money go? We put some money in. Yeah, I bought some art. Hey, I'm investing in this because um
It,
I
it, it's
believe in my.
also it's also a sacrifice, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a question, right? And I'm gonna ask it the nicest way I could ask it. What sacrifices have you made? Because I mean, I haven't been on vacation in almost 3 years.
Hmm.
There have been things that have been sacrificed, right? I don't go out to the bars anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I'm 31, so I probably shouldn't go out to the bars anyway. But the point is that I haven't, since I was 28, I haven't gone out to a bar.
Yeah. I
Like some
definitely try to stay out of them bars at 41, going on 41.
you get where I'm going with this, where I
Yeah.
know people like my sister goes on vacations, and I'm like, I'm pumping all my money and I'm just reinvesting it into my business, and I'm growing my business and I'm investing my time. Like when I take a day off from my job, I'm either doing an interview that needs to be done or I'm doing something else that needs to be done
Yeah.
in the business. Like, I took a day off, I think like 2 months ago. I spent 8 hours doing social media.
Yeah.
Like, if it doesn't sound like, oh man, you really sacrificed, Andrew. You might have had, you're pouring your Jack Daniels at 2 o'clock in the afternoon doing social media, but still all day I was doing social media.
Yeah.
And then I snuck in 3 interviews that day too. So like, I asked the question because I don't think people realize that. I don't know if you've foregone a vacation.
Oh man, let's start with time. Well, before we even get to the sacrifice of money, let's just start with time. Time and energy, man. I think some people conflate the two. Sometimes I can have time for something and completely not have the energy for it. So to actually, be able to come home from work, I'm a teacher. So to be able to come from work and spend any amount of energy writing, brainstorming, drawing, sitting in front of a computer and drafting, like how many times you just come home and just crash and and or zone out and like
You
you
don't
don't have
want to see
time
me
for
on my Mondays,
creativity?
dude. You do not want to see me on my Mondays. I have a 13-hour day. On Monday,
Right,
I do a little bit of social media, and when football season starts, I am non-working on Mondays, and I don't work on Thursdays.
right. So how do you find the energy that matches the time to even be creative or sit down like right now, right? I had to schedule this out with my family, you know what I mean? Like, hey,
I'm
like, j-
sorry.
I'm thankful for it because I'm doing something. I need to get the message out. We're in 3 time zones apart, you know what I mean? Like you're doing a sacrifice and running this show late. I'm moving things around to be able to meet in the middle of the day so that we can bring some value to people that are listening. You know what I mean? Some people are going to listen to this and hear about how I'm running the Kickstarter and be like, man, I might not have thought of that. Or actually, you know what I mean? I do see that angle. People listen to your show all the time and like get a little bit more insight about all the different topics and pop, in media and pop culture, anime, comic, all the different things that you talk about. People listen like week in and week out. So it's worth it. And that's the first sacrifice, right? Is it even worth it? Is the first sacrifice.
And look, there's plenty of positions and there's plenty of interviews where I'm like, man, that was a bad interview for me. That wasn't good. But no, I get the energy and the time because
Right?
trust me, there are points where I'm just like, I don't want to fucking do this.
Yeah.
Like, even tonight, I'm like, do I even want to come down to my basement? It's such a pain in the ass.
That's what I'm saying. I'm equally thankful that you at the time, but like, you got to find time for the creativity, man. Could you imagine if people didn't find time to make these things that how many of us are after we finish this are gonna like pick a great movie to watch with our loved ones or read a book or do something that somebody just thought of in their mind, some regular person. And I made a choice. You made a choice to be more than just to actually be the person that people read about or think about or listen to, and we need more people doing that. Well,
I hope in which that again, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in this space. To be honest, I've said it. I might have another season in me, but 11 years, 12 years, 12, like probably close to 1,000, maybe 1,100 interviews at this point. But there's getting a point where it's just lack of appreciation. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm exhausted.
yeah,
And it's a problem. And you know what is my biggest beef is that nobody has a problem backing a comic. People have an issue supporting podcasts, and they
mhm,
are just as necessary as anything
yeah.
else. And
Oh
and
yeah,
it is a bothersome because every time I bring it up, nobody has a goddamn fucking answer as to why they won't do it. And I say, cool, you back 10 Kickstarters on your page, you back 30, you back 400 of them, and you can't throw me $5. They don't have an answer for me. And until somebody has a fucking answer for me, it's getting to what it is. And this is why my show's selective. Somebody
yeah, and
pay
I think
to be
it's
on
a
my show.
lot of issues, man. It's a lot of issues with success, dude. No matter what the industry is.
Oh no. This is why I'm so selective now. In which I'm like, great, we can go and you could ask me, but at this point, if I don't want to interview you, that's where we're at. And you know what is the reason why people are asking now? And I was speaking to a friend of mine, Paul Gomez, and Paul hasn't run his show in like 3 months. People are asking him heavy because people need media, yet they don't want to pay for it and they don't
Yeah.
want to support it. And this is the problem we're in because there's not that many good shows anymore out there. And the shows that do 30, 40, 50,000 in comics, quote unquote, you can't get on. You can't even get on if you paid for it. And this is the problem. This is the whole problem, is that's the issue. And I know it, and I said this years ago. But again, I'm going to be here for a while. I got another season in me at least. At least. And maybe I'll go on my John Cena farewell tour.
Well, man, you got to at least stick around so I can come back, man, and let you know what Royal House is doing before I'll go on your farewell tour with you, man. Bring me on.
After this, you really can't see me. That's his shirt. It's a red shirt, right? It's great. And then on the back, it's a door, and it says, "After this, you really can't see me."
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Yeah. It's great. I hope we get 12 months of John Cena. I hope we get 12 months every pay-per-view, every Monday Night Raw on Netflix. I hope we get it, right? Because I want all these great matches. Carlito versus John Cena, Randy Orton versus John Cena, Drew McIntyre versus John Cena, CM Punk, Cena, round 3. Okay? I hope we get like Finn Balor versus John Cena, Damian Priest versus John Cena, Kevin Owens versus John Cena, round 4.
You gotta milk that turnip as far as you can.
Every Monday night, we get 52 Monday nights, and then we get 25 SmackDowns of John Cena. So now we're up to 77. Then we're gonna get like maybe we'll throw a few NXT positions in there too, because why the hell not? Let's make John Cena the NXT championship for like a week. That'd be great.
I mean that is the media model now, man. Like we got
just 100 John Cena matches between Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and then we get 12 to 16 pay-per-views, and so we have 116 matches left in it.
Man, I'm hoping my content gets so good that some great company just comes and buys it, man, and just takes it as far as it can go, man. I want to see Pharaoh versus Priest blankets and Pharaoh versus Priest cups and all that stuff, man.
So I have to ask, would you sell pieces of your IP?
Oh yeah, man, we're IP farm. That was always the the kicker for us, man, is we want to build up a great IP farm, and somebody who believes in us to say, man, let's have the rights to this shop, and let's match a number, and I'd love to stay on as a writer, 2% something, but if not, you can buy me out.
Because obviously my business, my eBay business, and what I do has no value. There's no value. My business model is based in the assets it holds. So that sounds weird, right? So I am a worthless business that holds anywhere from $1 million to $5 million worth of assets right now.
Yeah.
Which is just awesome. It's awesome. But my eBay business is with jack shit. And it's great.
It's the same for us. So we have Pharaoh versus Priest, Dombe, Detective Rumble, Slick was on Webtoon.
The difference is that I'm going to challenge, because I have to, is that you are a company that obviously has email lists. You have those things underneath your company. So Royal House is worth money as a business, and because it has infrastructure, and as you build out infrastructure and you have Kickstarters, and then you have 200 people who back your Kickstarter, and you do another one, you get 250 people, you actually have value in all that. If you have an email list that has 2,000 people on it, or 4,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 people on it, it has infrastructure in place. I don't have any of that, but I don't want any of that. I purposely set up my business to be an asset business.
So it's very similar, and I'll definitely accept the differences and the challenge. Like I said, a lot of our conversations always start with the two sides.
I wish my business was more like yours, to be honest.
Well, look, it's the overhead is gone now, right? So I have the IP, the book I can sell in perpetuity. My kids could sell the book. The book doesn't cost anything to store. I can print it wherever I want to. I can print it on demand. It only takes me to capitalize on my conversion rate. I'm looking to do now. So to create a package of books, or right now, like it's a Kickstarter, but it could be a bundle during Christmas, right? It can be a deal, a free book as we get as we get your email, and you get this, part 3 coming out, which is $10, right? Direct sales. All these things are available to us now with very little overhead, because it's like you said, a PDF. It's a digital content.
Your expenditure is that if you want to go to cons, right? You need to
Mhm,
have a stockpile, and you need to have a decent stockpile. And even if you could get a book to you in 2 weeks, obviously printers are a disaster. So at some point, if you're doing a summer tour con of 12 cons, you're gonna have temporary storage
mhm,
issues. But but I get the point that the creation element is done.
mhm.
Now the issue is just printing it. How fast can you get it printed? And then if you want to go create special con covers or variants or things like that, because you're doing the 2025 summer tour con, right? And you're hitting up
Mhm.
12 San Diego things or 12 cons in California, you might want to create a special summer cover for
Yeah.
this thing that has a 400 print run, and that's going to cost you money. Which you
Yeah.
can steal that idea because it's a good one.
I just, man, we're gonna take that and then some, man. And keep talking, dude. Because I know the Kickstarter industry and the
Oh,
comic
I
industry.
like the idea. The idea is a poster idea, actually. What I just explained is a poster idea,
Hmm.
because Blink 182 goes on tour and they're doing a 3-month tour. They'll have a poster specifically designed for that tour,
Yeah.
right? So I like that idea for you, because if you're doing 12 cons in 3 or 6 months, have 400 books of a specific cover. And then once those 400, if you sell at 400 at one con, you don't go print another 400. You're out of, or you only sell, you break it down so that you're selling like 50 at each con, right?
Yeah.
And then once that's done, you then just burn it. Yeah, I mean, you have to shred the
I, I
remainder.
think I think I think you're right. I want to challenge a little bit on like
There's no
how
challenging. You're
how
out of
how
challenges.
easy.
You're
I don't
losing
want
a
to say
time.
easy, but like how small a chunk of units, like a million is. So 99 cent, a million, a 2%, conversion rate on an ad, right? You got a book, whether it's a podcast, you got we have conversion, we have videos that are, upwards of like 4 and 6% of conversion with, like I said, because we have great art. Once you read the blurb and the story, you're like, man, actually, I actually do want to read that. You know what I mean? So we have enough to like get you over to that next step, to read the bio, right? Let me read about this artist a little bit. Let me check out some of his social media. Let me see what they're doing. Actually, yeah, I'll spend 99 cents on this, or I'll give up my email address, right? So now it's just about actually getting the numbers, man. And now, instead of spending thousands of dollars on making a book, I'm spending $1,000 to actually get in front of you on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. You know what I mean? People indies don't usually get to that point where they can spend that type of capital on marketing.
I mean, most people don't know my ad rate on this show, which is great, and people don't get that it's for life. So that's what that is. So
Mhm.
again, I get all of it, and you know what is it's tricky. And again, though, I don't disagree that, but it's hard to get to that stage. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I would
mean,
say a lot of people don't get. I mean, you're talking majority. You're talking more than a third. I think we're talking about upwards of 80 to 90% of people who write a book can't actually get it in front of people.
it's that, and then it's also profitability.
Hmm.
So I am going to have a profitable eBay business in legitly we are on August 14th by September 1st. What is that? 16, 17 days away? How many people in comics have profitable businesses?
Oh man, very very few. I wouldn't say we're profitable yet. We have a plan. We understood, like I said, we baked that in, but we're looking to hit a turning point that was like right on schedule. We're right on schedule.
So I will get to the point where I will be able to take in October a distribution. October, November, because I want to build up a slush fund. So I'm purposely building in that what I would take as a distribution in September is just going to be money in the bank for this next project or for when another deal comes through, or when I need to go make a big purchase, right? Because I know I'm going to be making one in October. That's going to be expensive, but I'm going to make bank on it. Um, but not the point. The position that I'm going here with is that you have to understand when you get to take a distribution out of your business and how that works, and that's a whole different ball game. And I don't get to talk to many people about that. And again, if I was to coach or consult, that is what I would want to talk about because I think understanding how to take a distribution out of your business and where to put your distribution is a very different discussion.
Yeah.
And it's a complicated one. And it's not, I mean, it's financial planning, it's understanding investing, and I understand that really well, everybody. I understand that really well. Let's
Mm,
just say that my L brands trade was a very lucrative one. I had a 738% rate of return on that trade.
mm.
I mean, on that,
Yeah.
I bought them for $9.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. I mean, you gotta faith in a plan, man. Faith in a plan, that dedication, man. Is sky's the limit.
everybody should have bought Bitcoin when I told them to as well, and Ethereum. Instead, I got made fun of for it, and look where we're at now. The best one was when I got made fun of for buying Netflix at like 197.
Mm.
Because we all know what we're doing on Christmas, right? You know what you're doing on Christmas, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What,
Binge
what are you
watching
doing on Christmas?
everything.
What?
I'm binge watching everything, man. That whole week, the whole break.
Well, you have off. I don't.
Yeah, teacher, the perks of a teacher schedule, man.
It's whatever.
That's another reason I could even create, man. I got my weekends back. I got my, I get to come home with a little bit of the day left, and I'm just in a creative space, man. I'm not getting zapped out by just like cubicle, you know. Just and some people love it. I know some people just love numbers, but like I think I'm in a creative space. I'm thinking about idea. I'm a history teacher. You know what I mean? Like a
Oh
lot of
man,
stuff we write is historical fantasy.
I work in digital accessibility, and so I work for an education company that makes education products. And all I know is that I'm probably gonna go get a master's in accessibility, and then I'll probably work for a college.
Well, I mean, but that's the question, though, Ezra. It's like, would you do this if it wasn't for money? What would you do creatively if it wasn't for money? If that wasn't, you
Oh
know,
man, that's a good question. That's a good question. If I honestly, I would love to I love my business, right? I love my eBay business. I love cards. I love comics. I love collectibles, and I wish I could do that full time. But what I figured out is that the way I'm probably gonna structure this, if I can pull it off, and the way I'm growing, and probably in a few years, is my eBay business is gonna be my primary income, and then my job, in my shoot job, I'm gonna max out my 401k because they match it. I'm gonna probably get a health savings plan. I'm gonna max that thing out. And so then I'm gonna basically reduce all my taxes because I'm gonna be putting like $15,000 in my 401k, which will be matched at a nice 25% rate. So that's what's gonna happen. So I will suck up my job and then I will get creative on my weekends and get creative in my business. So that's what I figured out. And only I would figure out how to do that. because I understand 401k rules and I understand IRS rules and taxation laws. Every January 1st, I read the tax code in the United States.
You
I
your
I, I
answer to that
I'm not
question,
normal.
your answer to that question like kind of reminds me. It's like you enjoy the processes of like I would say management. There's a little bit of a management like coordination and like seeing if you can fit these things like we were talking about offline is like you have an insight to things that are a little bit off of the regular thinking that like you have fun bring into like reality and letting people see like I saw that and you didn't.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, dude, I'm making so much money on the WNBA. It's not even funny anymore. And I'll tell you how I found out about this. So I told the story with Joe Brusha last week. Is I watched the women's basketball and I was like, I live in Connecticut, so I like Paige Buchers, and it was fun to watch UConn, and it was fun to watch Caitlin Clark. And I wasn't big into women's basketball, but the UConn men were great, and I was gambling on that. The women were great, and then I'm watching Pat McAfee on ESPN, and they're talking about this like it's just like a regular ball game, and they're talking about it, treating it like how they treat the men and how they treat the NBA. And I'm like, this is the next big thing. And that was months before the WNBA started. And so I just started picking up cards. And then when Caitlin Clark draft night came, picked up a lot of cards and I made a lot of money and I'm hooked now. And I have like 101 Angel Reese's. Like I got some really cool stuff because nobody was paying attention. And now everybody's paying attention. And all you had to do was watch the NCAA and look at the ratings for the men versus the women. And anybody could have figured it out. Why did I figure it out? Because I was just like, man, this is awesome. And this is the talk on Twitter. And it just so happened to be at the right place at the right time. And Pat McAfee was saying, hey, they were treating it and they were talking about the rating numbers. And then when you see Stephen A. Smith and you see all these men talking about women's basketball and treating it seriously, you say this isn't anymore a joke. And I know that sounds sexist, but it's really, really important to recognize when everybody's talking about something.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
not a
mean that was part of the commentary is the the change and shift in the conversation about women's basketball. Who's having that conversation? Yeah, it's real. Like, we were talking about this offline. Like we have to mention real things that are happening in order to have authentic, conversations, right? Like that was a real
now.
conversation that was part of the change and shift, and there was a pushback, but it was like, yeah, I'm sorry, like we weren't having this conversation before. We're having it now. Let's name it.
Let's
But
let's let's be realistic though. The women's basketball team in the Olympics, oh my god, that was the worst game they ever played in the gold medal round. By far. That was horrendous. That was horrendous. That
I'm
that
gonna
that,
be
that
I'm gonna be real honest, man. If Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark would have played, I probably would have watched more of it.
I
To be real
understand
honest.
you are not a habitual gambler like I am. I made so much money on that game. But
Yeah,
oh my god, that was one of the worst fucking games they've ever played. They have played 60 fantastic games. That was the 61st. And
well, I think,
they were just it's not a woman
well,
thing. It was just shitty basketball.
but let's have the real conversation too, because in the men's sport, I think they got the best players on the court for people to watch and to be exciting, and they had some close games too. But like, I'm
No,
watching
we
the
don't
people
speak
that I
ill
want
about
to see.
LeBron. We don't speak
Huh?
ill about LeBron here. I
Well,
still
I'm
need to
just saying
sell my
the
eBay cards.
team. I looked out there and I see
You're
Durant.
hurting me. Well, why are you doing this? I'm selling LeBron James cards, and now you're hurting the men's basketball team, and I have a lot of money invested in these cards.
Dude, like I mean, like they put the stars out there that you want to see. I think I would have watched more of the women's competition if they'd shown the stars that people want to see. And I respect those players and their craft and their skill. But
You'd appreciate my one-on-one Angel Reese card then.
I saw it. It's fantastic. If people saw that, like you did a raffle, it'd be going through the roof right now. Especially if they played in the Olympics. That's what I'm saying. Can you imagine 2028 if you keep that as the LA games come?
Oh
Come
my
in.
God, I'm keeping that. That's for me. Fuck
That's what
anybody
I'm
else.
saying. If you came
No,
across another one,
this. I have two Vipers. They're 101 cards, and they're two different Angel Reese rookie cards. And I'm like, no, nobody's fucking getting that card. Fuck you. You're not getting my fucking Angel Reese Viper 101s. You're not getting my
people,
Jaguars either. Fuck that. Like, I'm not raffling that shit off. Like, fuck that. Like, this is for me. I'm getting that shit graded.
hey, the pay the stars, man. People came to see Mahomes. People came to see LeBron. People came to see Steph Durant. Put them on the court.
That is true. It was crazy, but again, I enjoyed watching Aja Wilson. I enjoyed Brianna Stewart, but like, I just thought that it's whatever. I don't think that Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark should have been in the Olympics. I think they're too new, and I think that honestly, both those women needed a rest. I think they need like a 3 or 4 week break. To be honest, because they went from college straight out into the WNBA, and I think it was too soon for them to be on an Olympic team.
Yeah, you could be right. I think I'm getting into this
Oh,
critique.
I wanted to see it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the All-Star game. The All-Star game was awesome.
Well, let me because I was actually thinking about this today, and I'm falling in this pitfall because I think I want to listen to connoisseurs more than critics, right? And right now, I'm being a critic as not a huge fan. Haven't been traditionally a huge fan of women's basketball until some of these new stars came out. Like I said, it was a new conversation. I am a little bit more engaged, now in the sport than I had been because of these players, so that they weren't there. It wasn't like I need to get home and see this game so much because I hadn't been there in the past. And people are gonna like listen to the show and be like, man, Kerry, like I liked him until he started talking about, but like it's real. Like probably most of the country that didn't really pay attention to women's basketball until this conversation started happening. So you can hate me or love me for it, but it's really
I feel
what
you.
happened.
I didn't get into it until obviously where I'm new into this, but obviously it became an asset class for me. Because when you're buying, in a given month, $10,000 to $2,000 worth of WNBA cards, I know everything about everybody now. And I know, and I have autographs. I have autographs of Audrey Wilson. I got autographs of Brianna Stewart. I would love an Angel Reese in my collection. I would love a Caitlin Clark. They're fucking expensive. They're really pricey. They will come down. Her just rookie autograph is off the chart. It's like $500 for one. It's too rich for me. The Angel Reese is like 200, which isn't bad. But like a Brianna Stewart's like 65. But not the point. But I know everything about it, right? But like, I want to watch these players play. Now I don't watch every single game, but if Angel Reese is playing Caitlin Clark, Iowa is the Fever is playing the Sky. Like, I want to watch that game.
Yep.
Or if like the Liberty's playing the Fever, I want to watch that game. Or if the Fever is playing the Las Vegas Aces, like that's a good game.
I'm a football coach, so like with the NFL, same thing, man. I don't just watch NFL games just because I don't have like a fantasy league. I want to watch good games. Not NFL is pretty good because a lot of those games are close. You know what I mean? But like, I want to watch the exciting players. I'm gonna watch Caleb Williams, my team, the Bears. Like, he's new, he's hot. Like, he was hot his first game. He's exciting.
I'm curious what's going to happen. You got Jaden Daniels on the Commanders.
Right.
It's
Yep.
gonna be fun to see. And then Bryce Young. I'm interested to see what Bryce Young is going to do this year. What is it, Jordan Love? Is it Jordan Love on the Packers?
On the Packers, yeah. See if he can bring that that team back to their prominence for sure.
Because what is he? It's his second year, or is it his third year in the league?
I want to say it's his third. He didn't come in starting, did he?
No. He came in, and Aaron Judge was still a quarterback.
Yeah, so he was in a year before he got the reins.
But he's still young. He's still in the next gen, or for lack of a better word. And then we got CJ Stroud, who's in his second year, I think.
Jackson, He's always exciting to watch. Lamar Jackson, Mahomes.
I mean, aren't they starting off the season?
Yeah, yeah.
Are they starting it off in Brazil, or is that the Packers and somebody else?
I don't know. I have to see the schedule, but like even like moving it to Brazil, bringing it back to like just marketing. You know what I mean? Like
I
how
mean, it's so smart. It's so fucking smart. They're putting the game on Peacock from Brazil. It's so fucking smart.
So that's what I mean, man. Comics just has to get creative. We're trying to
What's
get
going on
creative.
at Christmas with the NFL, right? You know there's a Christmas game, right?
Have
Who
they ever?
has that Christmas game? What network has that Christmas game? Do you know?
No, is it Peacock?
It's
So they're
Netflix.
trying Netflix. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
And then theoretically 6 to 8 days later what's going to be on Netflix, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what's coming to Netflix in January?
No.
Monday Night Raw.
So they're getting into sports.
So you're getting into live sports. It's going to be wild. I mean, there's going to be NFL games on Netflix. You could have theoretically Monday Night Football on Netflix at some point.
Yeah.
Which would be
That's crazy, man. I can't wait to Netflix is taking over everything. They're gonna have the news. They're gonna have everything pretty soon.
They already have everything. I mean, if I could, I would love my podcast on Netflix.
Yeah.
I would pay Netflix to have this show on their network.
Oh yeah, they're the big kahuna right now, man.
I would pay them $100K a year, hands down, because I'd make that money back in sponsorship.
Yeah,
within a month. Right. I mean, let's be realistic, because if I had something on Netflix, right, and then I could say to a guest, my podcast is on Netflix, it's going to cost you $1,000 to be on, right? People would pay, no question about it, because now you're on a huge platform that has 200 million subscribers, give or take. So I make so much money, and then imagine the sponsorship. Oh my god, that's the dream. All my content right to Netflix. Oh man, that'd be dope.
Well, man, we're definitely gonna have to come back, man, and talk about, we always have great conversations, man.
That's because nobody wants to talk to me anymore. It's all right. But anyway, I want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you?
Well, yeah, man. Definitely check out Royal House Comics. Our Kickstarter, Pharaoh versus Priest, is the name of our Kickstarter. You get pretty much the entire bundle. You get the whole catalog of things that we have that's already done. It's in the can, but you get a chance to get these things in print. Beautiful art. Catch me on the podcast, Championship Culture, the artist panel. And definitely join our pre-launch for our Kickstarter, and you can hear a lot more about the tiers and what we have coming up.
And then I'm going to keep saying it, and I'm going to say it again and again and again. You have to support people and what they're doing, whether you're backing Kickstarters, buying directly, buying indirectly, following them on social media. It makes a huge difference on everything that is going on, what they're doing, all that fun stuff. So definitely you should be going doing that. And then as far as I'm concerned, I am Pop Anime Comics, what is now formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, Pop Anime Comics, as well as Instagram is Pop Anime Comics. The Facebook page is Pop Anime Comics. I am on TikTok under Pop Anime Comics. I am on the YouTube Pop Anime Comics. Please subscribe. We have a good time on YouTube. Let's just say that September through February is going to be pretty lit. Thursday through Monday, it's NFL time. So a lot of polls, a lot of stuff's going on. And then at some point, we might talk about the World Series. And then at another point, we're probably going to talk about the Knicks and the Lakers. And a lot of polls. I'm building out the whole season in polls. It's so sick. Thursday through Monday, I have like 14 polls. So you want to look at the whole season on the NFL, I got you covered every week. So legitly, if you don't know what game is going to be on during the week, of that during the NFL, just go on my YouTube community page and you could actually vote who you think is going to win. We're gonna have such a good time, and I'm gonna bet accordingly. So it's all on my subscribers that don't fuck me over, guys. If I win a lot of money, I'm not sharing it with you, and if I lose a lot of money, it's everybody else's fault. Let's just say that I'm not betting on the Giants heavy this season.
Don't do that.
But no, in all seriousness though, it's gonna be a really good time, and we're gonna do the same thing with the Knicks, and we're probably do the same thing with the Lakers. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I am very, very, very excited. On that front. And then I have an eBay store, and this is my eBay store. So look for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. It is Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. A lot of fun stuff's in my store. I tend to carry books like this in my store. So I have all 15 of those in hollow foil. I have all 15 of these in hollow foil. I have some Starfires in hollow foil. I also carry stuff like this, which is my nice John Cena card. So if you're looking for that, I think there's like 199 of them. So it's a cool one right there. And then I carry books like this, which is from Dragon Ball Z. I got some of this in there. And then this is the card we were talking about. No, this one's not for sale. And I may or may not have one more of these. So this is $150 card. This right now is probably trading and worth about $8 to $1,000. But I carry a lot of WNBA cards in my store. So that's kind of my thing, and that's kind of what I do. So if you're looking for rare cards and stuff like that, I got you covered. And when Aaron Judge hits 300, I'm probably going to have some cool cards of his as well. So definitely be on the lookout for that stuff. And I'm going to have some rookie cards from the WNBA coming in as well. So definitely got a lot of cool shit coming. So that's your shit. And you want to buy some stuff from me, hit me up, and you never know what's going to come my way. So that's everything I got. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Hey, thanks for bringing me back on, man. I really enjoy these conversations we have and allowing me to kind of talk about what we do with Royal House. I want to give a shout out to the team, Leia, Chuck, Great, Sikansi, Daoud, Sunday, the whole posse, Bodan, and can't wait to see you guys. And I hope you're looking forward to what we got coming out. And I'll see you next time, man. My family here we're about to eat in LA. I know the rest of the world is getting sleepy, so thanks for staying up, man. Thanks for staying up for us and letting us talk about Royal House Comics.
Oh, anytime, man. I don't think I could have said that any better myself, everybody. And that is a wrap.